At the HR office, they exposed my secret side hustle, claiming I violated company policy by working 2 jobs without disclosure. "You're terminated effective immediately," they said. I smiled and replied, "You're right. I should focus on one." I lost my job that day. But they never knew what came next. The moment I saw the security guards flanking the glass doors of the conference room, I knew they weren't there for show. Something was about to go down, and I was the target. Nathaniel Prescott, VP of Operations, slid a tablet across the table. The screen showed a grainy photo of me walking into a building in downtown Durham, North Carolina, late last Thursday night. "Mallory, we've received troubling reports about your off-hours engagements," Nathaniel said. His voice was smooth as butter, but his eyes were pure frost. "Your employment contract clearly prohibits any advisory role with a competing entity." Sitting beside him was Jade Halston from legal. She didn't speak, just gave a thin, smug smile like she already knew the outcome. I didn't flinch. I didn't ask for proof. I didn't argue. I looked at the screen, then at Nathaniel, and said calmly, "You're right. I should focus on one position." That threw them. Jade blinked. Nathaniel leaned back slightly, thrown off by how composed I was. They were expecting panic, pleading, maybe even anger. Instead, I reached into my blazer pocket and placed my access badge on the table. He slid a termination letter across. "Effective immediately. Security will escort you to your desk." I nodded. Of course. But they had no idea what they'd just triggered. If this kind of workplace betrayal already has you fired up, take a second to like and subscribe, and drop a comment. What's the pettiest thing a boss ever did to you? Trust me, this ride's just getting started. 3 years. That's how long I had held Stonebridge Capital's entire cybersecurity infrastructure together with duct tape, caffeine, and 70-hour workweeks. I wasn't even supposed to be alone. The original hiring plan included a team of 5. Budget cuts shrank that to 3, then 2 quit. I was the last one standing. I wasn't hired to be a martyr. I was recruited out of a promising role at a firm in Cincinnati. At the time, their CTO, Elias Crane, told me, "We want to build something unbreakable. You'll lead a specialized unit on proprietary defense architecture. We'll give you what you need." That was the first lie. Reality hit by month 2. Strategic restructuring, which eliminated my 2 most experienced team members. The rest of the story was a steady drip of unpaid overtime, neglected warnings, and executives who smiled during meetings but ghosted every risk report I filed. I was the ghost in their machine until I made them pay for making me one, and I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it. They escorted me through Stonebridge's glass lobby like a criminal. Heads turned. Whispers followed. But all I could feel was weight lifting off my shoulders. 3 years of holding the digital fortress together while the people upstairs clinked glasses at every quarterly win. I packed up my sad little desk. A coffee-stained mug, a battered USB drive, and a notebook filled with systems diagrams no one else had ever bothered to understand. As I exited the building, the warm North Carolina spring air hit me like a fresh start. That's when my phone buzzed. "Asha, still good for 2 p.m., Asha Patel, head of infrastructure at Parallax Systems, Stonebridge's fiercest competitor." I replied without hesitation, "Even better now. Let's talk full-time." Asha wasn't just offering me a job, she was offering me a team. Resources, respect. What Nathaniel and Jade didn't realize was this: their entire operation needed weekly manual back-end adjustments only I could do. Adjustments I'd begged to train someone else on, but was always told, "We'll look into that next quarter." They had no idea that within 72 hours, they'd be drowning in authentication failures, slowdowns, and server crashes. Not because I sabotaged anything, but because I had been their only line of defense. Want to guess what happens when a system built on one person's back suddenly loses that person? You'll find out in a second. But first, comment below. Ever saved your company and got nothing for it? Let's hear it. Monday, 10:15 a.m. I walked into Parallax's sleek new HQ in Chapel Hill. Tall windows, calm energy, and something I hadn't seen in years: genuine eye contact from coworkers. Asha met me in the lobby. "Welcome to your new life," she said. She wasn't kidding. I had a team of 8 waiting. 8 real people with defined roles, not interns and placeholders. One of them, a security ops lead named Caleb, grinned as we were introduced. "We've heard a lot about you, Mallory," he said, excited to finally work under someone who's not afraid to challenge norms. I hadn't even sat down at my desk before my phone started lighting up. First text, Nathaniel. "Hey, we're seeing some slowdown with credential rotations. Might be a glitch. Can we talk?" Then, Jade Halston. "Hi, Mallory, legal here. We're having some minor issues. Can you confirm you didn't change any access protocols?" Then, Elias Crane, the CTO who once told me I was their greatest asset. "Call me ASAP, please." I didn't reply to any of them. By Tuesday morning, my inbox was flooded. Authentication delays, data syncing issues, customer accounts timing out. I knew exactly what was happening because I'd built the whole infrastructure. Every line of defense, every redundant process, and every single one relied on my weekly maintenance, done manually, quietly, because they never approved automation. They didn't want to invest. They just wanted the illusion of security, not the responsibility of maintaining it. Now they were finding out what that costs. By Wednesday afternoon, 72 hours after my termination, Stonebridge Capital was on fire. Not literally, digitally. Which is worse, honestly, because you can't put out that kind of blaze with a fire extinguisher. Quarter-end processing week. The busiest time of the quarter. Massive traffic surges. Scheduled data migrations. Transaction audits. All of which depended on manual credential rotation, log partitioning, and security synchronizations. All of which only I ever performed. And now, nothing worked. Their cloud gateway locked out internal traffic. Remote terminals froze. Clients couldn't access portfolios. Even internal teams couldn't log in without triggering a dozen failed authentications. And me? I was on a rooftop patio across town, sipping a cold brew with my new team. Asha looked at her phone and raised an eyebrow. "Is that them?" I smirked. 17 missed calls and counting. That night, the first mainstream media article hit. Massive system failure at Stonebridge Capital disrupts client access. No one named me, but I knew who was reading every word in bitter silence. I pictured Nathaniel pacing in his glass-walled office, eyes bloodshot. I pictured Jade scrambling to cover legal ground, realizing too late they hadn't even reviewed the exit audit I'd submitted, or the 24-page risk document I'd sent quarterly, each time stamped, ignored, and buried under deprioritized tags. Thursday morning, I walked into the Parallax executive boardroom to find Asha waiting. She was holding her phone out with a grim look. "Stonebridge's lawyers are reaching out to our general counsel. They're claiming you sabotaged their systems before leaving." My stomach dropped for a beat. "I didn't touch a thing." "I know," she said. "So does our legal team. Your NDA and your termination package are clean. You're covered." But it hit me, even now, they weren't taking accountability. They were looking for a scapegoat. They thought they could erase years of neglect and blame the only person who'd ever kept them safe. They were wrong. Friday afternoon. An email pinged my inbox. Subject: urgent request from Terrence Keeley, chair of the board. Miss Dane, we've made several executive changes and would like to speak directly regarding a possible consultation agreement. We are prepared to offer significant compensation in exchange for emergency recovery assistance. Please call immediately. I stared at the message. My finger hovered over delete. Part of me wanted to let them burn. But another part, Ellis, one of my Parallax team leads, walked past and casually said, "You know, sometimes real revenge isn't letting someone fail. It's showing them exactly what they threw away." Those words stuck. Friday, 6:38 p.m. My phone buzzed again, unknown number. I answered this time. "Mallory Dane," I said, my voice calm but sharp. "Miss Dane," the voice was strained, desperate. "This is Terrence Keeley, chair of Stonebridge Capital. We need your help." I said nothing. He filled the silence. "Our systems are collapsing. Transaction queues are failing. Clients are panicking. We've terminated Mr. Prescott and Miss Halston. We recognize now that serious mistakes were made. Please, name your price." I leaned back in my chair, watching the Raleigh skyline from Parallax's 17th floor. "My consulting rate," I said, "is $60,000 an hour. 4-hour minimum, payment up front." Silence. "Done," he said without hesitation. "I have conditions. Of course. 1, I work remotely, no contact with your building." "Understood." 2, I provide instructions only. Your team implements. I don't touch your systems. That's fine. 3. I receive a signed public apology acknowledging that I repeatedly warned of these vulnerabilities and was ignored. That's manageable. 4. Every person laid off from my former department gets 6 months severance and positive references. That will take board approval. 5. You fully fund the team structure I recommended 2 years ago. Market rate salaries. Real management support, not promises, action. Keeley was quiet for a long time. I let him sit in it. These aren't just demands, I said. They're the price of not listening. You don't get my expertise without the accountability you ran from. We'll do it, he said finally. All of it. Then send the agreement and wire the payment. I'll start once confirmed. The next 4 hours were chaos, but not for me. I sat calmly in my apartment, guiding their frazzled engineers step by step through the very procedures I'd written months ago. Instructions they had shelved because they weren't a priority. Mallory, we can't find the audit node protocol index. One of them shouted on the call. It's in the escalation prep folder under my name, I said. You know, the one your execs ignored for 8 quarters. Halfway through, Arlo Cates, the only executive who ever halfway got it, joined the Zoom call. His face looked like he hadn't slept in days. Mallory, he said, I wanted to apologize. Now's not the time, I said coldly. Focus on fixing your mess. We worked until 2 a.m. By then, the system was finally stabilizing. Transaction flows were normalizing. But the reputation, that was permanently fractured. I signed off with one final message to the team. Every fix you needed was documented. The problem wasn't technical. It was cultural. You didn't fail because I left. You failed because no one listened when I was there. Then I logged off. 1 month later, I stood at the front of a packed conference room inside Parallax's headquarters. Behind me, a massive screen displayed the new logo for our security consulting division, a team I had designed from the ground up. The room was silent as I finished my presentation. Our job isn't just to secure infrastructure, I said, looking around at the executives and department heads. It's to reshape how organizations value the people behind it. Because when systems fail, it's rarely about the tech. It's about leadership not listening. The board approved the launch unanimously. Within days, we hired 12 new specialists and onboarded 5 Fortune 100 clients, 3 of which had just pulled their contracts from Stonebridge Capital. And just like that, what started as a betrayal turned into a legacy. Weeks passed. One quiet Thursday morning, an email came in. Subject, thank you from Terrence Keeley. Miss Dane, I wanted to personally update you. We've implemented every structural change you recommended. The full security team is in place. The board issued your public apology this morning in the Wall Street Journal and the Raleigh Ledger. Our internal review uncovered over 24 risk reports you had submitted that had never been read past the first page. That's not a systems issue. That's a leadership failure, and we're fixing it. The cost of this wake-up call has been steep. We've lost 40% of our market value and over a dozen major clients. But internally, the culture is changing. If you ever wish to return, my door is always open. Sincerely, Terrence Keeley, Board Chair, Stonebridge Capital. I didn't reply. Because my answer was already live in every business news outlet. Parallax's consulting division, my division, was now the fastest-growing business unit in the company. My face, name, and quote were front and center in the press release. 3 months to the day after my firing, I took the stage at a national cybersecurity conference in Austin, Texas, the same one where I first met Shah. But this time I wasn't just a speaker, I was the keynote. In the audience, I spotted familiar faces, Stonebridge's new CISO, a few junior execs, even Arlo, watching me talk about adaptive security, organizational resilience, and the cost of ignoring talent. Their faces said it all. They knew exactly what they'd lost. Afterward, the new CISO approached me. She looked nervous. Your old documentation, it was brilliant, she said. Once we actually read it. I gave her a tight smile. Documentation only works when leadership respects the person writing it. She nodded. They track your progress now, every press release, every client win. They measure your success like it's their own failure. I nodded. Because it is. The truth, the most brutal revenge wasn't letting their systems fall apart. It was building something better somewhere else. It was becoming undeniable. Every new client we signed, every headline with my name. Every success they watched from a distance, knowing it could have been theirs if they had just listened, respected, and supported. And that's what really broke them. Not the crash, not the losses, but me thriving without them. If this story hit home, smash that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Have you ever been thrown out by a company only to rise 10 times higher? Drop your story in the comments. Remember, the best revenge isn't destruction. It's becoming so powerful, they have to watch your success from the outside.